Hello, welcome to Learning Life Podcast. My name is Tadisha, and I'm so glad you're here. This is a safe place where we can both learn and unlearn a lot of things about life. Let's get started.
Hello, welcome back to Learning Life Podcast. I was not planning really to do this topic, but it just came up today as I was reading some things. And so I really felt led to talk about this. It all started with one word: apologetics. I am today years old when I found out what apologetics means, because I'd heard some preachers use the expression. I was like, what is apologetics? And then I heard it again. I was like, okay, today I got to Google it. I got to find out what this is about. Apologetics means to defend the faith, the Christian faith. And apologetics comes from the Greek word apologia, which means defense or to defend. Follow me. So, defense of Christianity, defense of the faith, defense is what apologetics is about. And so I got this wild idea, kind of connection with that word. When you give somebody an apology, what are you doing? Essentially, you are defending yourself. So let's say, for example, you do something wrong. Maybe you burn up some food, okay? I'm giving you an example because I'm notorious for burning up food. I multitask too much. I'll be like, oh, I'm just gonna put this on and then go and do something. Come back as burnt. So, but it's just not my food. It's everybody's food. So I'll apologize and I'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I burnt the food up. Can you tolerate it? It's not that bad. The apology keeps people from getting angry, right? Or like sometimes when I eat out, which I know is not good, sometimes I'll give you a real time example. One time I was shopping, I got really hungry. There was a KFC, and I was like, I bought all this food, but now I'm too tired to go in and cook it. So I said, because my taxi was late, I said, I'm gonna go ahead and just grab something for dinner from KFC. And so I was waiting in the line. And guess what? I noticed it was taking longer than usual. And I was frequenting this particular restaurant. So I was like, usually they have something in a couple minutes, but they're taking longer. And I got a little upset. I got upset because I had to wait longer. And so when I came back to the cashier, she was like, just wait a little longer. This is a fresh batch of chicken. And so when she apologized and just let me know this is a fresh batch they're about to serve, then that calmed me down. I was like, okay, her apology defended her. It remedied the situation because I learned, oh, it's not because someone's just being slow. They're preparing it and it's a fresh batch, so it's worth the wait. Okay, so what a difference an apology makes. So my point here is that apologies, being able to live life knowing that you make mistakes and that you have to live up to those mistakes. And most importantly, you have to apologize. You have to defend yourself. You defend yourself by apologizing, by saying you're sorry. Okay, I'm connecting this to something. Follow me. In the Bible, Jesus said, forgive 70 times 7. Okay? In other words, it is important to have a forgiving nature. When you don't forgive, things fester in your heart. Unforgiveness, number one, which leads to a lot of bad consequences. Forgiveness is a defense. Forgiveness is a defense. Okay? I want to give another solid example. So, and before I go forward, I have to emphasize, why would Jesus tell us to forgive unless there is something very powerful about it? Even when Jesus was being crucified, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I heard that in a sermon last night, and it really hit me. And it's like, if we live life constantly thinking about how someone's done us wrong, you're going to live a life of limitation. You're going to live a life of hate. You're going to live a life of missing every blessing that God intends for you to have, because you have eaten, I like to say it like this, you've eaten of the forbidden fruit. I want to give another example in the Bible. David, King David, who is kind of an archetype of Christ. When King David was out kind of being ostracized, but really he was on the run from King Saul, who, we're not getting into that, but King Saul all of a sudden just kind of went crazy and obsessed over killing David. So, anyways, David had to leave, and he lived in the rural areas surrounding Jerusalem. And so he and a group of people that chose to follow him would go about all around the rural areas and the villages. And so in one account, it says that he went to a village and there was a man named Nabal. And Nabal, I guess he has some type of authority. So maybe he was like what you consider the mayor of the town, or he has some type of authority over this town. Anyways, Nabal talked to David, and he said something that was very condescending, kind of native. He was talking about how David was on the run from King Saul. He said, like, you can I be honest with you? The Bible has so many um lessons on humanity and human nature, and it teaches us about life. And there's so much drama and things that happen in the Bible. I'm learning. I'm like, wow, I never knew all this happened. So it's better than the movies. We waste our time on looking at movies and TV shows. The Bible is better than all that combined, because more than that is life-giving, and it is full of truth, and it teaches us about our human nature. All right? So anyways, Nabal said something shady to David that was insulting, and David became angry. And you have to think about David, put yourself in his shoes. God has anointed him to be the next king, but the current king has kind of went crazy. I'll just put it in that form. And now he's obsessed with David and killing David. And I'm always kind of like a why person. I just don't understand why this happened, but it was a spirit basically behind King Saul that that caused him to just do these things. Didn't make sense. Anyways, I talked about this in another episode some time ago. But David got very angry with Nabal. And can I tell you something? I learned that Nabal in Hebrew means fool. So Nabal was a fool. He just talks to David any kind of way, says something insulting, and David could not deal with that kind of insult. Because if you think about what David was going through, he's being chased by a king because God favored him to be the next king. Anyways, Nabal, the fool, says something, and now David decides that he's going to take his men and he's going to attack that village. And it takes Nabal's wife, Abigail, and her name means father's joy. Abigail goes to David and apologizes and asks David for forgiveness for the conduct of her foolish husband. Because Abigail apologized, she defended the whole village, including her foolish husband. Forgiveness is a defense. Her apology defended herself and her people. So, David forgives and he decides not to attack the village. Now, I don't know if you've seen the movie. I know You can't base everything off the movies. That's why I like look at the movies and then I compare it to the Bible. That's just a thing I do. But in the movie, I found it very interesting that Nabal was having dinner and then Abigail tells him, she's like, "Did you know that David was going to attack?" And David was a warrior. He was literally a warrior. To understand that means that he's going to wipe him out. In the movie, Nabal just like he was eating and he's like enjoying his food and he's like greedy. That's how the movie depicts him. And she tells him, yeah, David was about to kill us all. And then she leaves the room and then all of a sudden Nabal kind of in the movie it depicts him as like choking and kind of having a heart attack at the same time, which is yeah, it's dramatic. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make here is about the apology. Apologies can change everything. And so I want to share a little bit more my personal experience, right? Throughout the past year or so, I would join Bible study and it changed me because I saw how much I was harboring a lot of resentment and I was unforgiving with a lot of people in my life, family and people I met. And so I learned that it was a spirit of offense that was, behind this. And also, had to take accountability myself that I was just being very unforgiving and hard. And so the thing is, when you realize that you can't harbor any hate or unforgiveness towards anybody because you yourself, I'm speaking for myself, but if you identify, you know what I mean. There are so many things that you probably done to other people that offended them, that hurt them. Maybe it was unintentional, and then most likely it was intentional. You did it to get back at somebody. You did it because you felt slighted or you felt somebody insulted you. And so you felt that you had to get back at them. You were offended. It's strange how these words connect. Offended, defended, apology. Anyways, you have probably done so much underhand stuff to people, like I know for myself I've done, and then you can't forgive somebody. I've had these times where I've done stupid stuff, and other people had to help me, get me through the consequences of some of the bad choices I had made. They had to vouch for me. They had to help me. They paid for my mistake, my foolishness, or my native, you know what it is when you do something stupid and then you go to somebody and you like, whoa, I did this thing. I'm in I'm in a pickle. I need some help. And then they help you out, but they didn't have to, but they paid the price for your mistake. And so you do that. And then you think that just because someone does something wrong to you, that you can harbor an unforgiving heart. There's instances of this in the Bible where it says a man was forgiven for a debt that he owed. It was a big debt. And then all of a sudden someone just owed him a little money. And he treated that person just outright nasty. It's in the Bible. In the same way, I had to like look in the mirror and say, hey, now you've done a lot of stupid stuff and you caused a lot of people a lot of pain, even though it was unintentional, but you still did wrong. Have you asked forgiveness? Forgiveness is your defense. Furthermore, I'm learning how important it is to like every day just ask God, forgive me, God. I might have done something wrong and I don't know. Out of ignorance, I might have unintentionally done something unaware that I hurt somebody. God, just forgive me. I did not mean to do that. I did not mean for that action to cause this to happen, but forgive me. I'm learning how important it is to just come to God and be open with him and just say, I don't know when I've done wrong, Lord. I'm repenting now. Forgive me. And the point I'm saying here is when you ask God for forgiveness, that is your defense. Number one. And I want to just share this one last thing. When you think of this, in life, you can do a lot of wrong. both to yourself and to other people. You can hurt yourself and other people by making bad choices and decisions. And then someone helps you. I've had this happen in my life where I made bad decisions and that someone else helped me. There is only one who really paid the price for your bad mistakes, and that is Jesus. He paid the price for every bad decision that you made so that you could be redeemed and made free, so that you would not have to suffer all the consequences from all the bad decisions that you may have made in your life when you were younger, or you were foolish, or you were ignorant, whatever the reason. He who the Son has set free is made free indeed. And that's all I want to say. So if you're out here and you're angry about stuff that has happened to you, I'm just encouraging you to think about yourself. Think about how you might have done somebody wrong and you probably haven't, apologized. This is not the time to act like each one of us is like better than the other. You know what I mean? Because I used to be like that. I'd be like, oh, I've never done this to anybody. But on the other hand, I've done plenty other stuff that was just as bad. Okay? So Jesus has paid the price so that we can live and live life more abundantly. That's all I want to say. Stay blessed, take care, and join me next week for another episode. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
This is Learning Life Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you learned something, that you enjoyed this episode. If you want to support this podcast, please subscribe. Thank you so much. See you next week.